Have you noticed your kids' attention span lessen? What about their performance tasks? Have they become mediocre? Or their social skills? Have they become weaker? Now, have you pondered the idea that video games may have a role to play in all of this? Even though there is no scientific proof or links, there have been social experiments done by people that come to the conclusion that children who spend more time playing video games develop severe side effects. Now, this leads us to find that children that play these video games become less focused, less encouraged to do their daily tasks, which then become mediocre. And they no longer want to talk to their friends, leading them to their social skills being weakened. And they no longer are quick to go when their parents call them, which leads them to their attention span becoming weaker. Now, all of this becomes to be by a simple, innocent act of a parent trying to force their little one to sit in one area where their parents can see them as they progress and complete their daily tasks. All of this then leads these younger children to want to spend more and more time on these devices. Now they either begin playing Nintendo DS or playing on on their parents' phone or watching YouTube. Which, as they grow older, even though some games can be educational, it can help these kids. Other games can become an addiction to them. Some kids play violent games. Some kids play racing games. But then these racing games, these violent games, what happens in these games, some children adopt the actions that happen. So then that leads those children to become more violent, more disobedient. And then parents can no longer easily get their attention, which then leads these kids to no longer be focused in school and trying to get good grades. They sit at school and think about this racing game and how they're gonna get to play it after school. So then they come home and they don't put as much effort into their homework just so they can have more time to play these games. And so then that affects their school. And so then they struggle to keep up. And not only do they struggle to keep up at school in their academic classes, they also struggle to stay engaged when there are group conversations or when they're playing a sport. They're no longer thinking straight. They're no longer thinking about defenses or offenses in basketball or football. They're no longer thinking about the races. All they think about is those violent video games or small, not so violent video games like Clash Royale or stuff like that. They just become absorbed in their little gaming world that taking out the trash and washing the dishes or even eating is a problem for them. They no longer want to eat because they want to spend all their time playing video games. And they become aggressive towards their responses to their parents. They no longer have a care in the world other than their video games. And all of this starts because they spend a little bit too much time as younger children watching that YouTube video about letters or numbers. They progress from letters or numbers to violent video games or racing, that they no longer care about anything else. Now, I ask you parents to encourage your children to lessen their time on those video games and encourage them to work harder in school. Because if they like video games, they probably would like game design or things like that. But to become involved in all of that, they have to become more focused in school. So again, I encourage you parents to lessen their time playing video games. Thank you.